Peace family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about facing your fears on a much subtle level and a much easier playing field for you. You know what I'm saying? We know the fear tactics is running heavy out here, but we already understand that they created this medical facility the way it's structured now so they can control our belief systems and what we need and believe to go in our body and what we don't need in our body. You know, no different than the schools, which is created for indoctrination. Secondary was educational, but you know, indoctrination. And then you have your regular social engagements, you know. So a lot of our fear that they was able to manipulate and twist against us is the fear of like our peers and our family and friends and neighbors looking at us weird or different or not the quote-unquote norm or not fitting in if we're not following their systematic structural base. You know what I'm saying? And what really brought me to this subject today is I talk about the fear. It's a spiritual war going on, so we already know the fear is gonna be the opposite of love. You know what I'm saying? But fear is also the opposite of courage. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to say it's the opposite. You gain courage. So when you're facing a fear, it's almost like your courage attribute starts going up higher. So look at it as like a weighing scale. You know, the more fear you're putting on here, but the more you're facing it, the more the fear is going to go up here and your courage is going to go down here, meaning that your courage is going to have more weight than the fear. So what brought me to this subject was really something simple and basic. You know, it wasn't nothing strenuous. Just a friend, associate had gotten in my car or whatever, and they heard the beeping. Usually I ride with a video or music on, or I'm okay with the beeping. I don't give a fuck about the beeping. But they had put their seatbelt on, and then they had heard the beeping again like 10-15 minutes later. Y'all know the cars, all the new robotic cars got fucking, gotta keep beeping to tell you to put your seatbelt on. But the thing is, for me, right, not wearing my seatbelt is a subtle way of me fighting back at their spiritual war and the fears that they try to push on to me. Because soon as the being started, I wasn't gonna put my seatbelt on, they was wearing theirs. We were like, aren't you scared or concerned with getting into an accident or something like that? And my thing with the accidents is like, I don't get into accidents. I have been into car accidents, but I don't live my life based on if I walk across the street, I'm gonna get hit by a car. So anytime I cross the street, I should be walking with a board beside me or some kind of metal plate to block all cars before they hit me. You know what I'm saying? So for me, like, not wearing a seatbelt, I'm in my own spiritual space. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel more safer or protected by having my seatbelt on. Actually, when I put my seatbelt on, I feel stupider, and it actually dumbs me down, because it's like, okay, now I really have less room to move around in my own vehicle. Even if I stop on the brakes a little too hard, it's gonna pull and I won't be able to move around the way I want to. You know what I'm saying? It just reminds me of how much control they have on us, that you're willing to get in your own car and put on your own seatbelt, and you have not gotten into an accident in over 5, 10, 15, 20 years. You know what I'm saying? It's a different if you somebody who leaves the house and you get into an accident every 3 months, every 6 months, you know. That is completely different. And then usually most of the accidents that people get into, they are not going fast enough to go flying out the windshield. Most of these accidents people are getting into, they're not even going fast enough to break a collarbone. You know what I mean? So like a lot of it is just all control and fear tactics. So if they can keep you in all of these little fear boxes that they done created, it's like, if you're too scared to ride without your seatbelt on, then you're definitely gonna be too scared to run a red light on a back road that nobody's on, and it's nothing in sight. You know what I'm saying? But you're stopped at this red light for 10 minutes, And it's probably because you didn't pull up close enough to the sensor to change it. You know what I'm saying? All of these are subtle ways of them implanting fear and making sure they maintain this control. And I always use the cars for an example because these are the new spaceships. The cars are the spaceships. Everything in here is your inner space. Everything out here, you know what I'm saying, is outer space. So what do they teach you when you're young and you go into outer space? Most of them need spaceships to go into outer space. That's what the fuck this is. We have our vessels, so this would be like the astronaut. Clearly, they're astroing and they're not going anywhere. We've never left this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Once people get that concept down, we're not spinning around so fast that you don't feel it. That's really stupid. That is extremely stupid. You cannot put a spinner top down and make that one go really fast and then put another one on top of it, and that one doesn't be affected by the other one that's spinning below it faster. It is so much fear placed out here that even though we haven't moved, you can look up and see the clouds moving. People think we're on a spinning ball. You've never made a ball of water, but because we know we can imagine anything, people will come up with weird shit saying like, oh, well, God, the creator will make a ball of water. Shut the fuck up. If the creator was going to do that, it would be visible for us to see. We would be able to make balls of water. Isn't in your words, it says we're made in the likeness and the image of them, the creator, the gods, or whatever you may call it, you know what I'm saying? So no. There's no balls of water out here. You know what I'm saying? This is our outer space. So that's why I always say it's important to start working on the small fear tactics. The same person that was communicating with me about the seatbelt thing and saying, oh, well, what if you get into a car? I don't live by the what if negative shit. You know what I'm saying? My glass isn't half empty. My shit is half full. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I don't live by, oh, let me rephrase that. This being because of the fear tactics with the seatbelt, you already know goes hand in hand with everything else. And because I'm so in tuned, I don't care how people think or feel about me. I know I am. I already knew that this person had got that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because they are afraid of even being in a car without a seatbelt on. So you're gonna take every safety precaution that they give you, which is really not safety. It's just another form of control. So they don't went and got, 2, 3, 4, 5, thingamajiggy-mabobs. You're not really allowed to talk about the thingamajiggy-mabobs on here because they are sensory. And I've already been censored enough. They already been subtracting subscribers. They already been turning people bells off so they don't even tap into the content. I already understood that all of this shit was going to be happening once I chose this position. If I wanted to be somebody who was going to be out in everybody's space on some weird shit, I would have just strictly did fucking music or shot y'all some bullshit that I know would get into the algorithms a lot faster. I would have pretended to be a Christian. You know how fast you could pretend to be a Christian and elevate in the YouTube world? All you have to do is say Christian and put a Bible, and you will start to elevate in the YouTube world, in this digital world. You know what I'm saying? I seen somebody go from like 20, 30,000 subscribers to like almost 200,000 subscribers. You know what I mean? Just all from being able to take one religion and the book to use that to feed the viewers. You know what I'm saying? And if that's what they choose to do, cool. You know what I'm saying? But I use that as an example, saying like, if I wanted to be in here on some fugazi shit and not on some honest shit, and just really was only about the numbers and the money and all this other shit, that's the way I'd have went. And to be honest, this shit's not covering no bills. Like, it's some dollars coming in, but it's not covering no bills. I do this shit because I love doing it. If you was watching my shit a year ago, I wasn't even getting over 100 views. It's just because I stayed consistent. I wasn't in fear of them deleting my channel. I wasn't in fear of them removing my content. Even though I done had to deal with YouTube strikes, fucking sensory bans on TikTok and all kind of shit, I already understood all of these things, you know what I'm saying? But that's why I make sure I flex my ability of choice and free will, which is I don't have to wear a seatbelt. You have insurance, so what you need a seatbelt for? You on a road going 25 miles an hour, you drive in your city, you don't get on the interstate, you're never gonna go no faster than 45 miles per hour. If you have a road that's a non-rural area or rural area, I don't know which way that shit goes, but you know, the one that's not connected to the city, sometimes that shit goes 55. You know what I'm saying? Those ones will be a little bit harder than 45 on the Rex, but usually you're not going fast enough to do what they are saying is going to happen if you get into a car accident. Trust me, I done been in car accidents with people driving and nobody ever went flying out a window. I done been in probably over 7-8 accidents with other people driving. Between my mom being young, I done gotten into 2 accidents with her driving, some friends from high school, it was probably about 4 or 5 accidents with multiple of them driving. Nobody ever went through a windshield. Nobody ever went through a windshield. And if anything, we all put our seatbelts on before the police came. Or we was already out the car. Like, you are able to brace yourself more and to do more if the situation is tight, opposed from locking yourself in a seatbelt. Say you get into an accident and your seatbelt gets jammed like it does in the movie. Now you have to move on to your next journey because you won't be able to cut yourself out because you decided to pretend to be cautious. Let me lock myself in here right now just in case. No, you have to be able to flex your free will, you know what I'm saying? And have to be aware that this is something that they constantly doing, you know what I'm saying? And if you're not working on ways to reduce the fear yourself, you're gonna fall into the trap one way or another of being extremely fearful of something, you know what I'm saying? And we already know, like, once they get you down one trap, it's easy to just pull you down the rest. You think about it already. I get in the car, first they tell you with the car you have to have a driver's license, which is stupid because when you look into the laws, you are really only supposed to need a license for commercial driving. Most of us drive leisurely and for fun, but a lot of us don't even look into their bullshit rules and laws. I done tapped into all that shit, so I already know a good portion of shit that I don't even discuss. I just choose to break things down a certain way spiritually on here, so that way we all can get this information, share and learn and grow together without having to worry about as much of them talking about, oh well, yeah, TrakBeatz over there talking about the president, he over there talking about the governor. Like, I already know y'all all the same, you know what I'm saying? That's why nothing ever changes or shifts. You know, so we have to just do a better job at understanding that it's a lot of fear tactics placed out here, you know what I'm saying? So like I was saying with the car, you got your driver's license for one. Fear. Most people are like, oh, I don't have my license, I can't drive, blah, 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 blah. Cool, whatever. That's their control, you're scared, okay? Then for 2, you may have your license, but now you don't have no insurance. Now you're like, oh, blah, 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 I don't want to drive because I don't have insurance. And if I get pulled over, or if I get into an accident, or if I fall asleep, it's like, That's 2 things. They got you in fucking fear right there already. Then as soon as you get in your car, you got your seatbelt. Oh, I want to put my seatbelt on. Even though I got an interview to go to, I want my clothes good and crisp. The seatbelt is going to wrinkle all my shit. It's going to bunch all my shit together. So then I have to get out the car and do this number right here and make sure that I got the creases and all the other stuff out of there. All of this is fear tactics placed in one bubble. This is just over here for your spaceship. This not even including as far as the shit you do when you wake up in your own space or the shit you do when you are outside in outer space. You know what I'm saying? It's too many fear tactics, so you have to find a balance or you will be stuck in that space and you will be just, well, they said we got to do this? All right, I'll be right over there. Oh, they told me to go over here? All right, well, I'm going to go over here. Well, they told me to touch my toes? Okay, I'll touch my toes. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Okay, you sinking the whole goddamn head, shoulders, knees, and toes song, all because they got you in fear. This shit ain't worth it. This shit ain't worth it. I'm telling you, it's not worth it. There's no way you're going to be able to reach spiritual freedom and you are controlled on every angle possible. You know what I'm saying? Every angle possible. So you have to start small. You have to start somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I only mention this spaceship with the seatbelt thing, because I'm in my spaceship. Like, unless you pull me over, I'm not causing any harm, not hurting anyone. I think they came up with like, oh, what if you hit somebody else and you don't have a seatbelt? Well, that only hurts me if I go through the windshield. And the windshield is pretty hard. That means you have to be going really fast. So you got to think about, look at the majority of the cases and then look at the special cases, okay? So when I say majority and special, majority people have 10 fingers, okay? Special cases, people have 4 fingers or 11 fingers. That's special. Don't look at the 1 and 5% and say, well, that does happen. Yeah, but the majority of the fucking time it don't. That's like the birds. Majority of the birds, you can see 98% of the birds is gonna have 2 wings. Don't talk to me about the other 1-2% that got 1 wing. Well, you know, the birds they have. Well, if you go to this land, this bird has 1 wing, and it's just a cultural thing, and it's predominantly majority of the fucking birds is gonna have 2 wings. Simple process. Even if they can't fly, chickens cannot fly, but they still have 2 wings. You know what I'm saying? Y'all tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.